Howdy folks. Now what we're looking at in this lesson is the mystical and magical how to mix together the major and the minor pentatonics. This is a bit like alchemy and mixing together plastic and grass and coming up with gold. But it's not that hard. In fact, it's quite easy. It can be really simple. So I'm going to give you a really good way to start mixing minor and major pentatonic and then tell you how you can expand on from there. So the first thing we need to think about is when you can mix major and minor pentatonics, because sometimes you can do it and sometimes you definitely can't do it. Now there's two types of blues. There's a major blues and a minor blues. Now across a major blues you can mix major and minor pentatonics. Across a minor blues you can't mix major and minor pentatonics. You kind of could on the 5 chord, but let's leave that for another time, right? But basic rule is just do it over major blues. So in A that would be A7, D7 and E7, okay? Right, now what I was doing in the track at the start, the backing track, was playing a solo that mixed major and minor pentatonics together. That's why it kind of sounded rich and full and very authentically bluesy. Now the way I was doing this was across the A7 chord, I was using lots of major type ideas. Across the D7 and the E7 chord, I was using lots of minor type ideas. Okay, and across the A7 chord, I was even mixing together the major and minor ideas. So let's talk about that. Now you know about the minor pentatonic. You could play minor pentatonic across all of that and it would sound great. And that is kind of the predominant sound of the blues, right? But to mix this major in gives it this extra flavor, if you like. Now let's start off with looking at the A7 chord. So if we play the A7 chord like that, we see that note is in it. That note is the major third. That note is not in the minor pentatonic, right? So when we play minor pentatonic over this chord, we're missing that note out entirely. So that is the most important note to put in to create a major sound. So you could kind of think of your minor pentatonic with that note added in will give you a major sound. So that could be your first step. So that's a really simple way of mixing major and minor together. Now notice that I was doing this. I was sliding from that minor third to the major third. I could do it there as well. Okay. So that's a really simple major line to come up with, and you can play that across that. You can play that across that A7 chord. But let's explore things a little bit further. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about a common big problem with major and minor pentatonics. Because what people are told is that is A minor pentatonic. Then if you go 3 frets down, it's A major pentatonic. Yep, okay, I reckon some of you are smiling there thinking, yes, that's exactly what I've done, and it sounds rubbish, okay? It does sound rubbish. Now, why does it sound rubbish? It sounds rubbish for this reason, because when you do this, and you think, that's cool, I'm going to do that in A major pentatonic. You do that over an A major blues, and it doesn't sound very good. Why? Because you've played a minor pentatonic bass lick 3 frets down. So really, you're still playing F sharp minor pentatonic. But you think, well, I've been told it's the same notes. It is the same notes, but you're putting them together in a minor type way. You're focusing on this note, this F sharp note, which makes it sound like F sharp minor, right? Not A major. So to make it sound like A major, you've got to concentrate on the notes in A major. All right. Now to do that, it's not a very good idea to do it in position 1 because you're so familiar with doing minor stuff in position 1 that it's hard to get out of that, right? So I tend not to do that. I tend to stay here or go other places, all right? So let's tell you how I do it. So I see that major third there and I put notes around it. I think of the notes around it. I know that's the flat 7. That's fine. That's the root. There's my major third. That's the 5th. That's the 6th. Root. And the 2, all those notes are going to sound good over my major chord. Okay, I can put in this one. That's the flat 7. So you can hear these lines, they sound great because I'm playing notes that are from the major pentatonic. I'm adding in the flat 7 there. So it's not strictly a major pentatonic scale because major pentatonic doesn't have the flat 7 in, but the flat 7 sounds cool and it's within the dominant 7th chord, isn't it? So the first thing to do is over that A7 chord is to play around with lines like play from that minor third to the major third back to root, play with that the 6th interval there. Put it together however you want. Think of this triad here. Right, this A major triad. So I'm doing the A major triad to the 6, to the flat 7, back again. Something like that. Just playing around with those notes. So over the A7 chord, do that, all right? Now you could play position 2 here of the pentatonic scale. Because another way to play A major pentatonic, rather than go 3 frets down, is start on the root note and play position 2. Some people would call this position 1 of A major pentatonic. I think that gets a little confusing. I tend to think of it as position 2, whether it's major or minor. Okay, but it's this shape. But you can see we've got these notes. And I'm kind of mixing all this stuff together, really, you know. I see it as like one idea being overlaid over the top of another idea. So I can see my minor pentatonic, then, and they kind of, you know, one kind of merges into the other one a little bit. All right, so over the A7, you just think of ideas like that, and you play those sorts of lines based around those sort of shapes I'm doing, all right, including the intervals, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, the 6, and the flat 7, right? Okay, those are the intervals that I'm targeting, and most importantly, the 1, the 3, and the flat 7, right? Could do that 1, 3, flat 7, right? Now, over the D, when the D chord comes along, the D7, I'm just playing A minor pentatonic, but kind of targeting that D note. Yeah? And then we go back to the A. All right? I'm going back to A major pentatonic ideas. That's what I was doing in the solo at the start. Over E7. I'm playing A minor pentatonic, focusing on that E note. All right, D, back to A minor pentatonic, then back to A type ideas before doing something like that on the turnaround at the end. So the rule is, over A7, do A majorish type ideas. Over the D7, do A minor ideas. Over the E7, do A minor ideas. Now you can structure your mixing of major and minor pentatonics like that, and that will sound really cool. But there are other ways to do it. I could play major and minor pentatonics over the D and the E, but I've got to do that in a different way to the way I do it over the A, otherwise it will sound rubbish. And I'm going to discuss that on the Patreon page. So if you want to hop over there, you can see that discussion there. But that's a really important thing to get under your playing, to move your blues playing forward to that next step, if you like, is mixing major and minor pentatonics, and it's really good fun. You know, it's really good fun. There's so many different ways of doing it. It sounds great, and you get that very authentic blues sound. So remember to like and subscribe, super duper important. And please leave comments down below. I get quite a few comments now. More comments would be great. This is quite a big subject. And a lot of people get very confused about it. So please drop some comments in down below. Catch you next time.